All right, thank you, Jim. As he said, my name is Jillian Heth, and I'm a junior at Eau Claire Memorial High School. I became interested in Stream Girls as just kind of an opportunity to mentor young girls and introduce them to STEM aspects of our local watersheds. We're fortunate tonight to have the National TU co-chair of the Headwaters Youth Program, Tara Granke. So I'll hand it over to her.
Sure. Thanks so much, everyone, for having me tonight. Let me go ahead and share my screen. I'll get that going. And that way we can work from the PowerPoint. So I'm Tara Granke, Headwaters Youth Program Coordinator, and I work for TU National as a staff person. Can everyone see my presentation? All right, cool. So yes, I'm in Asheville, North Carolina, actually, and I've been with TU for in this position for 6 years. Actually, just last week was my 6-year work anniversary. So time flies when you're having fun. One of my great pleasures in the work that I do is facilitating and growing the Stream Girls program. When I started in this position, it was fairly new. I think that there had been one program that had been executed at that point as a pilot, and it was actually in Wisconsin. And Lynn, if you could explain where that was. I don't know the location off the top of my head because I wasn't around at that point. But so Wisconsin has a fun history already with Stream Girls as the very first program. Can you fill us in a little bit on that, Lynn? I'm going to put you on the spot.
Hey, no problem, Tara. It was held in Stevens Point. We actually held it on just a little east of Stevens Point. Most of the stuff was held on a kind of a little stream over there. And Heidi Oberstadt actually kind of, some of you may know her if you're involved with TU, but she was the one that kind of got it going. And then I helped get a lot of the volunteers together to help out. Rochelle was the TU national touch point at that point, and Franklin. And so we had, gosh, probably about 20 people that all of a sudden came out of nowhere. Heidi was really concerned that we weren't going to have anybody, and then we had everybody involved. So it was a wonderful time, and for being the kind of the first one, everything went well. The Girl Scout people were all wonderful, and everything really worked out and came together. And so now we're sitting where we are now is just wonderful. We're all over the country, and I don't know what Tara's got in her thing, so presentation, so we'll let her run with it from there. And just thanks, Tara.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you. I just love that there's, we're bringing it back to the roots here in Wisconsin. So I was just so pleased to hear from Jim and Jillian that they would like to get a Stream Girls program going in Wisconsin. A little more about me. My background is in biology. I actually started with Trout Unlimited with the Southeast Conservation Project. And that position was a temporary position for 6 months. And this position with the youth program opened up, and it was just really a natural fit for me. I love working with kids. I really love to nerd out and look at bugs with middle school and high school students. And I now have a toddler and a baby on the way. So that's kind of given me even more appreciation for working with children and seeing their love of nature kind of blossom. So I'm just so happy to be here tonight. So for the agenda, we've already kind of hit on the introductions. This is going to be a pretty brief, I think, unless I start to ramble on, overview of the program. Should be about a 20 to 30 minute presentation, which leaves us with plenty of time for Q&A at the end. I will review the program, go over the 8 core activities, review the volunteer guide, which is the resource for you all to use as TU volunteers while you're facilitating the program. If we have time, I'll scroll through some online resources, which is where Jim apparently got lost on the website. So there's lots of good stuff in there for folks to look at. And then Jillian's going to take it over and talk a little more to the local information for your chapter and board, speak to the schedule and the location and partner information. And then we'll have time for Q&A. Because I'm going to kind of go a little bit quickly, if there's anything that I gloss over or you'd like clarification, just please, ask a question at the end. I'm happy to go more in depth on any of this. So Stream Girls. Stream Girls is Trout Unlimited's watershed STEM program for girls that builds confidence and breaks down barriers in science and the outdoors. Through the eyes of a scientist, artist, and angler, girls make a personal connection to their home waters. So you'll see this throughout the presentation tonight that I'll be talking a lot about seeing the stream through the eyes of a scientist, an artist, and an angler. Those are really the 3 perspectives that we kind of guide the girls throughout the experience. So why I love Stream Girls. TU really has this unique blend through all of our programs that is outdoor education mixed with STEM. So STEM is science, technology, engineering, and math. And at TU, and I don't think we're the only people to do this, so I don't want to claim this, but we always talk about our programs as being stream education, which adds in recreation and the arts. A lot of folks already talk about STEAM. And this type of learning, this interdisciplinary learning where there are different subjects mixed together, being able to experience them hands-on and outdoors is really beneficial to all participants, but research has shown that especially for girls, that adding in this element of arts, this real life application is important for learning and growing interest in STEM subjects. Another piece that we hear a lot from our partners, such as the Girl Scouts, but also other folks that facilitate this program, like the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. Many of the women who volunteer will say, gosh, I wish there was a program like this when I was this age, because I could have found my passion for fly fishing or angling or just being outside, or even for one of the fisheries biologists at the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service said she didn't know about these kinds of things until she was in college. And had she had this experience as a middle school or high school student, that she may have been on that track and found that passion a little sooner. So I love that about Stream Girls, that it is that hands-on immersive experience and that it exposes the participants to these things that they may not have had the opportunity to experience before. And Jillian, if you don't mind, you kind of spoke to this for a second, but if you could share a little bit about why you love Stream Girls or looking forward to facilitating it.
Yeah, for sure. You were saying that many people say that it was a program they wish they would have partaken in, and I definitely wish I could have partaken in a program like this. I'm very interested in STEM as well, and I really like the incorporated recreation and arts just as kind of a hands-on thing to help them retain the information and just kind of have fun while learning it. And also I heard about it from my dad, obviously, and I've been fishing with him quite a few times at some local streams, and it was just a really positive and fun experience that I think I'd like to share with other girls. And I like working with young girls, especially that middle school age. So I'm just really excited to coordinate this program and kind of help mentor these young girls and teach them some STEM information.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. I think the mentorship piece that you're speaking to, Jillian, is just so important. And for, a middle school age girl to be able to work with someone that's only a few years older than them, I think there's just so much value in that. So that's awesome. All right. So a quick overview, Stream Girls in a nutshell is a patch program. So, and I'm probably going to embarrass myself to Karen and Carrie because I'm not super well versed in all of the Girl Scouts requirements, but my understanding is the difference between a badge and a patch is that a badge is kind of a little bit more of a longer term thing. It's an reward for learning a new skill. So I think I have this in my notes. Yeah, girls earn badges by completing skill building activities, whereas a patch is something they earn as for attending a fun event or doing an activity or a program. And because we are a partner program with Trout Unlimited, we were able to design our own patch and bring this as the completion part for Stream Girls, that they earn this patch. And they typically go on the back, is my understanding of their sash. All right, I'm getting a nod from Karen. That makes me feel good. All right,
that's
cool.
correct.
Great. And so we do require, at Trout Unlimited, we say there are 8 required core activities. And this is not just so for the girls to earn their patch, but it's also just to provide some continuity between the programs. This program has grown, as Lynn has mentioned, to several states. I think we're in 8 states right now with several programs within those states. And it is just a really good thing for us to know that girls in each state and each program are having the same experience and therefore are, learning the same things and getting hopefully this similar results. So the 8 core activities here are the stream walk, fly casting, go with the flow, macroinvertebrate survey, fly tying, a streamside scavenger hunt, and bracelets. And then there's some amount of reflection throughout and discussion and sharing throughout. And I will go over these in more detail here. So we're going to look at the field notebook and the 8 core activities. The girls' field notebook is an essential piece of the program. This is something that the girls keep with them the entire program. So if you are hosting this over a weekend or multiple day sessions, it's a good thing to remind the girls in the beginning that this is something that they should try to hold on to the entire time. Each participant gets a notebook, and the volunteer guide, which is your all's tool, moves along with the field notebook. So as you're facilitating this, you can see in your volunteer guide the activity and instructions for each of those, and it moves along with the pages of the field notebook. So there's meant to be some ease between the 2 documents. And Stream Girls is designed to be a self-guided exploration program. So that would be in contrast to something like a lecture where, or a speaker, for example, like tonight, where one person or 2 people are imparting knowledge on a group and the group isn't, engaging as much or is just learning the wisdom from these teachers. This is designed so that the participants can really discover and explore on their own. They are able to move at their own pace, more or less. There is a structured schedule, but it's really designed so that they can follow their interests within the activities and again, make their own observations, collect data. They can draw in the books and again, have time for reflection and discussion and sharing. And so there are prompts for all of those things within each activity as well. And again, these 3 perspectives are stressed as a scientist, artist, and angler throughout all these activities. So we typically start when I facilitated the program with the stream walk. And this is because it was truly, I overuse this word when I talk about Stream Girls, but this is a truly immersive experience. We ask the girls to observe the stream that they'll be spending time with over the weekend or the after school sessions, using all 5 senses. So there are prompts in the book, for example, what wildlife are present? What can you hear? What evidence do you see? And so we, as you can see in the pictures, we literally get our feet wet if your site allows and it's safe for the girls to get in. We do encourage them to actually be immersed in the stream. In South Carolina, when I do it, we don't need waders, but these girls are in Michigan, so they're in waders. So obviously weather and temperature dependent, make sure, you go over your safety rules and people are dressed appropriately, but it really adds that element of immersion into the stream when they can actually get in. And we really encourage you to go slow down. As you can see in the picture to the far right, these girls are looking really closely at some rocks. I believe this is when there was a dragonfly hatch going on. So they were finding exoskeletons on the ground and really spending time examining those and just like geeking out on it. So those are the kinds of things that we really encourage during the stream walk. This is an example of a page. As you can see in this, we don't just record, what we smell, hear, see, feel, but we also ask them to estimate distance. So the field notebook is really smart in the way that it encourages all the elements of stream throughout the activities. They are expanding their vocabulary by possibly learning new words like deciduous. Some participants might not know what a riparian zone is. So that's why, even though this is a self-guided exploration, it's important for volunteers to be there and help guide this process. And depending on the volunteer, excuse me, you may be able to, or you will be able to kind of explore these things with the girls based around your interests. So for example, I know a little bit about edible plants. And if there are plants around that I know are safe and that we can, take a little taste of, I'll do that with the girls, and that just blows their minds. So depending on your area of interest, if you have experience with birding, they might hear a bird and you're able to say like, oh yeah, that's an American robin. So it's important for the volunteers to be there as guides as they have questions about these words that they may not recognize, and to also share some of their nature wisdom with the girls. So go with the flow is our hardcore math activity, I guess you could say. The girls measure the flow of the stream. So by calculating the velocity and also the area of the stream, they come to their result of cubic feet per second. I won't spend too much time here, but essentially they flag out a section of the stream, drop ping pong balls at the top. Other girls are at the bottom. They time that and they record their observations in their book. And this is what that looks like in the field notebook. This is a really great team building activity. I haven't met a participant yet that has done this before. So there's some problem solving going on. They have to figure out how to use a couple new tools. And then of course they are asked to calculate these 2 calculations to come up with flow. So this gives them a snapshot of the stream. And if you have a volunteer that feels comfortable talking about, what flow means. So maybe you had a big rain event or you're experiencing a drought at that time, you can kind of talk about the impacts that has on the stream, for example. All right, macroinvertebrate survey. Many TU volunteers are going to be familiar with doing something like this. And I'll say, for me, I didn't get to experience this, activity or survey until I was in college. And I loved my limnology class so much that it made me feel like I might want to change my focus in school. And so again, this is a really great exposure piece to the girls where they can actually participate in a citizen science activity. This is real scientific protocols that folks use to measure the health of a stream. So the girls can participate in different sampling techniques depending on the activity that you have. They will collect the macroinvertebrates into a tub, sort those based on their morphology. So what the insects and other macroinvertebrates look like, they will sort those into an ice cube tray. And then they use a dichotomous key, which you can see in the top right, to key out the different groups. So it goes down to, I want to say, order, certainly not into genus or species. So it keeps it pretty simple, but it's a chance for them to actually go through and identify the insects themselves. And then, as you can see, they do a calculation called EPT. So that's Ephemeroptera, Plecoptera, and Trichoptera. Those are the order names for mayflies, stoneflies, and caddisflies. And combining that number with the types of macroinvertebrates that they find, the total number, they're able to come up with their overall stream score and see if their stream is healthy or not. And either way, it's a great learning activity, whether they have over 20 or not. It's a fodder for discussion at the end as to whether they were able to find that their stream was healthy or not. And as you can see on the pages here, there's room for them to sketch the macroinvertebrates. They can list them, again, depending on the girls' interests. If they are, if they're into art and sketching, they might take a little more time on these pages, whereas other girls might be more into spending more time playing with the macroinvertebrates or inspecting them under the magnifying glass or if you have a microscope. So another opportunity for them to kind of explore their interests. And so fly tying, obviously macroinvertebrates and fly tying are pretty, you can really connect the dots there as we talk about how the macroinvertebrates we find in the stream are just one stage in the life cycle of an insect. And you can talk about how you are going to be mimicking these different insects by tying a fly, which are trout food. So again, depending on your volunteer's level of knowledge, or if you have a partner coming in possibly to do the macroinvertebrate piece, it's a great way. I understand you guys are going to have one activity a day, so you can't do them adjacent to one another, but you certainly can bring out a fly box during the macroinvertebrate activity and talk about, hey, that's this, like, this is what that will look like when it becomes an adult and trout eat these bugs. So in Stream Girls, we talk about in the volunteer guide, tying one realistic fly, one creative fly, and then having a fly tying extravaganza. This activity is incredibly popular. Typically, it's just a lot of fun looking material thrown out on the table. It's always good to have like bright and interesting colors that they can use. And it really connects all of those elements of stream. You've got science, you've got technology and using all the tools. And obviously this is an art. Fly tying is definitely an art as well. So a really well-rounded activity and kind of ties those the learning on the stream to what do trout eat. Intro to casting. So you may or may not have noticed that fishing is not a required activity of Stream Girls. We did that for a couple reasons, but mainly because of we didn't want there to be a barrier to location. If you're in an urban setting or even just somewhere that doesn't have easy access to fishing, we didn't want that to be a barrier for girls to be able to earn their Stream Girls patch. But most everywhere you can find an open field and do intro to casting, right? And at least practice and get an exposure piece to this fly fishing activity. So it's certainly not meant to be comprehensive. We don't expect the participants to walk away and to be able to go fishing on their own, but it is an opportunity to perhaps invite them back to your next youth fly fishing event, next month or in a couple months, and they can practice those skills again with volunteers. And you can certainly add a fishing day to Stream Girls, and many of our programs do. It's just not required. So you probably have folks in your chapter that are experienced fly fishers and maybe have taught casting to young people, which is great because I think there is a difference between getting out there with adults and talking about it and teaching it to kids. So definitely keep it simple, integrate games. You can use props to get like paintbrushes for the flicking technique and use hula hoops or fish targets so that they can practice accuracy. And then finally, the streamside scavenger hunt and bracelet, we typically save that for the end. And that's because it is one big reflection piece. So it's an opportunity for the participants to, what happens is they have flags and they go around and identify the 9 ingredients of a healthy stream. And those are things that they have already learned and reflected on in their books throughout the program. So this is an opportunity for them to demonstrate their knowledge. They will go flag the different pieces of parts of the stream where the 9 ingredients are, and then they present the reasoning behind why they chose those pieces to troop leaders and volunteers that are there or the other girls. We typically break them up into groups, like smaller groups around 5, so that they can work together to decide on what the different ingredients are. So there's like a level of deliberation and problem solving around that. And then they, again, present that to the adults or the other girls. And then the bracelet is a representation of those 9 ingredients. So they get a bead that represents each of those 9 ingredients. And you can see Hannah in the top right corner showing off her Stream Girls bracelet there. And we've used old fly line for the actual bracelet piece. You can use cord or hemp or what have you. But yeah, that's kind of a fun keepsake for them and maybe something that they can remember when they look down on their arm and remember those 9 ingredients of the stream. Again, I've kind of mentioned this throughout this, but reflection, discussion, and sharing are a big piece of this. Reflection is an important part of the learning process. It really allows them to think about their learning process throughout the program. It allows them time to kind of untangle and process what they've learned. And during the discussion piece, they're able to hear that there are, a variety of ways to interpret the experiences that they've had. So another girl might feel differently about fly tying than they did. And so this allows them the opportunity to not just process what they've learned, but it reinforces their learning. And then they are more likely to remember these experiences as they go through life in the future and apply those skills that they've learned or the revelations that they've had during the Stream Girls experience. So there are prompts throughout the field notebook that allow space and time for this. So it's not something that kind of feels forced in, it's integrated throughout, which you'll see as you look at the field notebook. So this is an example of what that looks like in the field notebook for fly casting and fly tying. Again, they can write, draw. We try to offer colored pencils if possible. Okay, and then finally, checking the time here because I tend to just ramble on about all of these things, but Jillian and I had a conversation about a breakdown of the volunteer needs per activity, and she and I kind of came up with this list. So my understanding is that our job here tonight is to recruit folks to help out with this awesome and fun program. And so hopefully we will do that. And each activity, allows for you to bring different skills to the table as a volunteer leader. So having 1 or 2 lead facilitators is a great idea. We've already got an awesome person doing that in Jillian. Someone to be able to watch the schedule and logistics and organizing the activities, making sure the equipment is all set up and those sorts of things on the back end. And then and Jillian, you can correct me if I'm wrong here in a little bit, but I believe you said it's going to be 20 girls, about 20 girls.
Yep, that's right.
Okay, great. So with that group size, you'll probably think about splitting them up for the different activities. So for stream girls, maybe, I can't remember what we decided on, Jillian, but at least 2 groups, maybe 3 or 4 groups, and you'll probably want 1 or 2 leads for each of those groups.
Mhm.
And then, let me move my face so I can see my slide. All right. So for go with the flow and fly casting, that's an activity that you would also, you can split into groups if you're having them on the same day. Since you all are doing 1 activity per session, that won't be something that you run into. But for fly casting, we do recommend 2-to-1 ratio, 2 girls to 1 volunteer. That just allows for a more hands-on experience, that since it's going to be a completely new skill. I know as someone who was introduced to fly fishing, or wasn't introduced to fly fishing until I came to TU, I really needed that, almost one-on-one like teaching style, because there's a lot of mechanics going on there. So just allows for, limited frustration, hopefully, if they can have someone to turn to if they have questions. That's similar to fly tying, which looks like I don't have on the slide, but about 2-to-1 is suggested. You could certainly get away with less. You could even have 1-to-1, but fly tying is also one where, it's a new skill. They are going to have questions. They're going to get tangled. Their thread's going to break. Things are going to come up. So it's good to have plenty of volunteers for that. And then go with the flow. Again, for the groups, maybe 1 or 2 leads is all you need, because the girls can kind of take it from there. It's similar to stream walk. Once the instructions are presented, they are pretty much able to do the activity on their own, but you want to have people there for guidance. For the macroinvertebrate survey, I have the numbers reversed, but 1 lead to every 5 girls is probably good. This is the kind of thing that you really want. I mean, they're all this way, but really don't want to get in the way of the exploration and being able to kind of dig in as the participants are looking through the bin, looking through the tubs and sorting. So, enough volunteers so that if there are questions, or to keep the conversation going around the activity and keep the girls on task, but not so many that it feels that they're being overwhelmed. And then for the scavenger hunt, you really don't need that many volunteers, because again, it's a girl-led activity, but it is nice for them to be able to present their information to a group. So if you have a core group of volunteers that can be there for the end, for this kind of celebration of learning, that's always fun. Anything to add there, Jillian, that I missed?
No, that sounds about right.
Okay, great. I just want to make sure I represented what we talked about. So I won't go through the volunteer guide, but I just want to let you know that this is a resource for you. I know Jillian has spent some time looking at it. It essentially breaks down each session. There's an introduction to the program. There's some notes on reflection in the beginning. There's prompts and questions that are given in the beginning to kind of encourage this 3 perspectives through the eyes of a scientist, an artist, and an angler. And so definitely some good information there in the beginning, but the meat of it is a familiar format for each session. So there's always a while the girls are gathering, and that's a pre-reflection session, or pre-reflection activity, that is. Welcome and introductions. So in your all's case, you'll be meeting newly each day. So you might want to reintroduce any new volunteers and any possibly new girls that might be coming into the mix, and introduce the activity, set expectations for the day, talk about safety. So that's all going to be in there in that beginning piece. And then the main activity, there are step-by-step instructions for each of those things. And then again, the reflection, the sharing, and the closing for the day. So that's the format for each session that's explained in the volunteer guide. Okay, well, that's it for me. So now I'm going to turn it over to Jillian to talk about local information.
Yeah, thank you. So this is just our tentative schedule for the Stream Girls program here, and it's going to be 5 Thursdays starting April 22nd through May 20th, and it would begin around 5:30 to 6 each day, and then it would end at, we were thinking maybe 7:30, depending on each activity, of course. And then here are the list of the activities that we're doing, and then it's going to be 5 sessions, and the go with the flow and the fly casting we're going to do on the same day and just split the girls into 2 groups of 10. And yeah, if you want to go to the next slide. All right, again, I'm the local program coordinator. And then we've secured Beaver Creek Reserve for all 5 sessions of the Stream Girls program. Here there are 2 cold water streams, Beaver Creek and Dinehammer Creek, as well as a multitude of facilities for all the activities. There's some classrooms and an auditorium, and there's just a lot of places that we can hold all the reflection activities and the introductions. And with the streams as well, they're pretty shallow, and Beaver Creek is going to provide the boots so the girls can have that immersive experience. Yeah, so it's just going to be, and Beaver Creek is a very familiar place for a lot of the people of Eau Claire, so it'll just be exciting for the girls to be able to go there. And then the participants are the Girl Scouts of the Northwestern Great Lakes, and is targeted at the cadets or the girls ages 10 to 14. And we were maybe talking about opening it up to a couple younger girls as well if they were interested. So yeah, that's the age range. And then, as you said before, we're having a max of 20 girls for this initial program. And then obviously we're looking for volunteers for fly tying and fly casting. But if anyone has any interest in sharing their expertise elsewhere, such as the macroinvertebrate study, please let us know. Yeah.
Awesome. Trying to find my unmute button. That's great. Yeah, we've had juniors, cadets, and is it whatever the younger girls, is it daisies right under that?
Daisies are K in first grade, and then
okay.
brownies are second and third.
Okay, so we've had brownies, yeah. And then the cadets, but yeah, mostly cadets. But I think there's, depending on the participant, they can certainly have a good experience at different ages. I'm trying to advance the slide. Okay. Well, that wraps it up. Thank you all so much for allowing me to go over the program. And thank you, Jillian, and our Girl Scout partners that are here tonight for wanting to move this program forward. I think you are really going to love it. And I hope that if you do volunteer, I know that you will find it well worth your time and a valuable and meaningful program. So we can open it up to questions if anyone has. Stop sharing my screen here.
Hey, Tara, well, you answered my one question. Alana and I had a question about the girls, but Professor Tom has a question, and I was going to read it, but it's so well written, I don't want to screw it up. So, Tom, say that, would you please click on it?
If you could comment a little, it sounds like it's so well thought out, and all the work that you've done, Tara and Jillian. But so have you all in the past partnered with school districts or curriculum people? Because it sounds like it's so thoughtful for the trout aspect, but the STEM and STEAM aspect of it seems like it could be a school curriculum. So have you been working with school districts and things to develop this, or how did that come about?
Yeah, it's a great question. It is extremely thoughtful and intentional, and I have to give all of that credit to my predecessor, Rochelle, who actually moved on from TU to become a curriculum writer. So, but through our other youth programs like Trout in the Classroom, that you all may be aware of, we do work with teachers writing lesson plans and writing curriculum. So we have, partners that are experienced in doing that. And some of the elements of Stream Girls are adapted from some EPA resources, mainly just the stream walk. But yes, we definitely look to outside resources while developing this. Thanks for that comment. I think so too.
I have another question here from my friend Ben Lester. Would love to volunteer. Ben, I already have your name down, so you're done. He's a master fly tyer and casting, but he has a daughter, and he would like to participate. How does he sign up? I guess that would be to Karen or someone like that.
Yeah, we are working on making the sign up sheets right now. I think on my last call with Karen and Carrie, we were discussing making kind of like a spreadsheet. Do you guys have any like input on that?
Yes, we're going to be having a Google spreadsheet that we will be using as a convenient way for our troop leaders and the parents of the girls in our troops to sign their daughters up for this program. So that will just be a little link, and we use that quite successfully in lots of different ways now. And especially since we are very grateful that there is no cost to this program. So that way they're, or that it's being so well funded that it makes it a whole lot easier for everyone to be able to have a convenient way to participate.
Okay, Jillian, I talked to you about the volunteers for the fly tying and casting. I will make a page on our website where volunteers can sign up for fly tying and fly casting, and then I'll forward that email to Jillian, so you can get you need about 10 guys or girls. I guess I'm not supposed to say girls anymore. I'm 70 years old, so forgive me. For the fly casting. Is that about right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
Oh, actually, we needed 10 for the fly tying, and then since the fly casting is going to be split up with the go with the flow, we only need 5.
You only need five, and then you need 10 for the tying.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Karen, do you still have cookie boxes or boxes of cookies for sale?
Of course we do. We have lots and lots of
Okay,
cookies
I'm
right
going
now.
to seduce my 15 volunteers for each one of them who should sign up to get a box of cookies, and then you just send me a check or an invoice, okay?
You know what? I think we could probably supply those without any problem at all. So we can handle that. So we'll go from there, because these old guys, they need a little push now and again. So okay. So,
except for Ben. Okay. Okay.
Cookies are always the answer.
Yeah. Any other questions, gentlemen, ladies, and kids?
Say, Jim, this is Dick. When you publish your request for volunteers, Jillian had a nice page that showed the dates of the various things that were going on.
Yeah.
That would be good to publish that also.
Okay, we'll steal that from her. And does that mean you're going to volunteer for fly tying or casting?
I can on some of them. A couple of the dates I'm out of town.
Okay. Anyone else are open to those days that we can get you signed up here?
I can share that screen again. Would you like me to do that?
Yeah, please.
Okay. There we go.
Oops.
You guys see it if I don't put it in the. There we go.
429. Okay.
Jim, I have another question if we've got time.
Go ahead.
Okay. For Tara and Jillian, or maybe, well, both of you, what are your thoughts on, is there a certain number in how many female mentors you have versus male mentors? Do you have any data that, that we want to try to balance that out? Because I'm sure your experience too, most of our chapter is male. And is this either a way to recruit more people who might be semi-interested in fly fishing? And how does the balance of the skill, matter? Is it more important to have some female mentors that provide good, strong modeling, as opposed to having it be primarily male dominant?
Jillian, I can start to answer that and you can clean up if that's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I was just gonna mention that we have a couple female mentors that we have in mind as well, such as Jerry Wagner. Many of you probably know her. I fished with her down in the Driftless area with my dad, and if she is available, she'd be a great person to have. And then also Megan from Beaver Creek contacted me, and she was very interested in the program. And also Holly Emke, who is here right now, she expressed interest as well. So that's a few female volunteers, and I'll also be there as well. So
That's great. Wonderful. Thank you, Jillian.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I don't really have any data, but just to answer the other part of your question, it is a great way to recruit new volunteers and get new interest into you. It's something that we talk about a lot with this program. I don't know the presence of these groups in your region of Wisconsin, but there are Fly Girls groups, United Women Fly Fishers, and those different affinity groups that have often really loved to adopt this program. And in those instances, their skill level is right up there. So it's usually not a concern, but certainly having folks that maybe are newer to fly fishing, I haven't seen as an issue, because they can kind of, shadow or play other roles, definitely play a supporting role. So definitely a great way to get new blood into the TU volunteer group.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Jillian, on May 6th, would you like me to reach out to either Emma Easterly or Casey Yardley, our two DNR fish biologists, to see if they can come in?
Yeah, I actually emailed them just yesterday, just kind of introducing them to the program. And I don't think they've got back to me quite yet, but
okay. I'll nudge that along.
All right, thank you.
Jillian, also, I can also help out for sure with the macroinvertebrate survey. So that's probably where my skill set would be most helpful. Yeah, so more on the bug and fish side of things than the fly time thing. So yeah.
Thank you.
Jillian has thought of it all, is what I am learning. So don't worry about it.
Okay. Anyone else have any other questions? Thoughts?
I don't have a question, but I have a comment. This is very exciting that you guys are bringing Stream Girls back to Wisconsin. It's been a long time and long overdue. Jillian, this looks like it's going to be a great program, and it's a lot of work that you put into it. So thank you, and hopefully it keeps on going, and hopefully get a lot of people in, and everybody finds it worthwhile to volunteer, because I had a blast with it. And I got to share a story with you. We had a gentleman, Tom Paulette. He's passed away now. And he's big in helping out with the Boy Scouts. And he kept on questioning me and saying, this is never going to work. We're never going to have, it's not going to be anything, but I'll come and help one day. Son of a gun, if he didn't call me up every morning and have me come and pick him up to come every day because he thought it was such a great thing. And he loved how it went. He loved how the program all went through and the enthusiasm from all the girls and the volunteers and from the Girl Scouts. So it was, just a wonderful program. So hopefully it, takes off with your program too, Jillian.
Awesome. I'm super excited to get it started. I think it'll be a really fun experience for both me, the other volunteers, and the girls taking part in it.
Joe, you got a question?
Yeah.
I
I know that fishing is not part of the required curriculum, but since there are some little ponds there where we've taken kids in the past. One is a pay to fish and one is a guy just up the road, just a little north of Beaver Creek. He had ponds. Unfortunately, they winter killed, but maybe by now he's restocked them. Is there a possibility you could have, kind of a bonus fun fishing day?
Yeah, for sure. Actually, when we were at Beaver Creek, Eric was talking about that pond that he's been to before, and yeah, we think it would be a really fun way for the girls to kind of show what they've learned with fly casting, especially. But yeah, we can definitely incorporate that.
So, Joe, you volunteered to help out on that then, huh?
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, as a retention piece, I'll just add that that's really a great way to re-engage the girls. Maybe, I've mentioned this before, I think, but like a month or two later, or maybe this program's in the spring. So maybe you have something in the fall, just to kind of keep them thinking about the skills they learned, but also keep them engaged with Trout Unlimited. It's a really nice follow-up activity.
Like it.
So, Carrie, when you heard about this program, what was your first reaction?
When I first heard about it, I was really excited because it happened to come upon us at a time we were thinking about our spring and summer offerings for girls and getting people back together, meeting in person. And the first foray into doing that is, of course, meeting outdoors in smaller groups, so doing outdoor activities. So honestly, when Jillian approached us, and I just have to say, Jillian, we have been more than impressed with you every time we see you and meet with you. So Trout Unlimited is lucky to have you involved. Girl Scouts is lucky to have you involved. Thank you. But with Girl Scout programming, we are all designed on getting girls to learn by doing, cooperatively with other kids. And the outdoors and STEM are 2 of our 4 program pillars. So honestly, Stream Girls just fits right into Girl Scout programming so naturally. So, I mean, Karen and I, we both couldn't be more thrilled to be a part of it. And I have no doubt we'll hit our 20 girl number and get more excitement generated from that and carry it forward for year after year. I think it'll be great.
Angela, you don't have a question, but do you want to explain what you wrote?
Let me get my camera on here. I'll try to at least. I am a teacher in Menominee, and we've done a lot of these activities in the past. Our curriculum has changed, and I'm not teaching biology anymore, but great opportunities. And my Thursdays are typically taken, but I'm going to see if I can find 1 or 2 of those that I can fit in.
Always great to have teachers helping out with our youth activity. It's such a great fit.
Hey, Jillian, Holly Emke has said thanks for your work, and she's excited to help out. So put her name down. So don't let her back out. You have 18 witnesses, okay?
I'll hold it to that.
Okay. Okay, anybody else? You got anything you want to bounce off the? Otherwise, I'm going to release the hounds. Okay. It's your last chance.
Jillian, thanks a lot for everything.
Okay.
Tara,
Yes.
we'll be in touch soon.
Thanks, Tara. Thank you, Lynn, for showing up. And I'm not going to say anything nice about Jillian now because it'll go to her head. She's already had too much. And so I want everyone to cut that off. We'll go from there. Carrie and Karen will be hearing from you, I'm sure. And just save me my box of cookies for these guys. And we'll go from there.
I'm already made a note. So.
Okay. All right. All right. That's it. I'm going to end this. And thanks a lot, everybody, for spending some time with us, because I think this is going to be a fun program, and we want to keep this thing going for, I shouldn't say as long as I live, because that could be next year. So we'll go farther than that. We'll find Jillian. Okay. We'll go from there. Okay. All right. We'll talk to y'all later.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.